The first deadly mistake that I see happening is the overusage of stock photography. So you get a nice, clean website. You get a website designer, you bring them on board, and they develop a website or redevelop your website, and they use a lot of stock photography, all these nice little cute photos of people like shaking hands or a photo of hypothetical people that actually don't exist. I mean, they exist, but they don't exist within your company. So people come to your website, they see photos of people who have nothing to do with your actual company, customers, and what have you. And whether people consciously or subconsciously realize this, they pick up on that, and it sends a message. People get the feeling that you're just another Joe Schmo that paid $1,000 to have a website created. You're not really an established business. So ideally, you don't overutilize stock photos, and what you do utilize are real personalized types of photos, whether it be shots of staff, shots of your pictures of your building, close-ups, good custom photography of your products if you're in e-commerce. So just keep these things in mind when creating your website or updating your website. If you are overutilizing stock photography, it's going to really dilute the quality of your website, and people do pick up on that. Number two are your reviews. Let's assume for a minute that you have reviews on your website. 9 times out of 10, one of the biggest mistakes I see, and I have tested this, and whether this matters or not, is they have the reviews buried within like an about drop down and a drop down menu and things like that. I have tested over and over again having the reviews tab as what they call parent menu item on the website. So you want to have your reviews in one format or another in a very easy to discover and easy to find way, whether it's through the parent menu item or what we call inline placement. So within the actual pages. So if you have 5 different key services, within each of those key service pages, you could have on the sidebar, what they call the sidebar, you could have relevant testimonials to those specific products and services. And if you're in e-commerce and you have a good e-commerce website, you'll have those reviews within the individual product pages. So it's a little bit of a slightly different animal if you're in e-commerce versus having a lead generation website. But again, don't bury your reviews. Make them easy to find, and make sure you have them. If you don't have them, that's another thing you need to start looking at. Leading me to the next point, external reviews on websites like Google, Yelp, so on and so forth. And you might say to yourself, Justin, I thought you were just going to talk to me about 10 things I could do to my website. What does a review on Yelp have anything to do with my website? Well, we're in a multi-touch digital environment, so you can't really look at your website without considering what people are going to do after they visit your website. You're not always going to get that customer on the first visit. More often than not, you're going to need to bring them back over and over again before they decide to either convert into a lead or purchase. So therefore, you need to look at how people see you online as a whole. And reviews obviously are very, very important because people are going to, just prior to the actual purchase decision, they are going to view those reviews. They are going to search for your brand. You're going to type in your brand plus the word reviews. They're going to look for those reviews, and that's going to be a determining factor on whether or not they buy from you. So it's very important to take inventory of how you come up on those external websites. And if your reviews don't look good, you really, really, really need to start looking at that. How do you bring that up? The fourth item, contact information. Well, this may seem very obvious. Believe it or not, I see many businesses who don't have contact information readily available on the website. So whether it be in the footer or a secondary contact us page, or ideally really both, in order to appear to be a credible business, you need to have your phone numbers and address information prominent and easy to view on the website. People should not have to search for that or have trouble finding that. Next point, mobile. If your website is not optimized for mobile, you're going to be in trouble. Depending on the industry, your mobile traffic is going to range anywhere from 50 to 90% of your traffic. So the biggest mistake I see and even web developers make this mistake often, is they're QAing and checking and designing a website from a desktop view, because that's the way that developers and designers work, off a desktop, but they forget to optimize and view, at least from a usability standpoint, the website on mobile. So check your website out on mobile. Make sure that all the different elements are formatted properly. There aren't errors. There's a click to call button and those sorts of things on your mobile site. Page load time is the next one. If your your website takes 10 seconds to load, 15 seconds to load, or even 7 or 8 seconds to load, and this will vary on different devices, vary on different browsers, but the point is, the studies show very clearly, multiple studies, the longer your website takes to load, the lower your conversion rate is. More people are going to abandon ship, and the less money you make, and the more you're going to pay effectively to generate each customer. I can't emphasize this enough. There's a great tool. It's called GT Metrics. You can run your website through this tool. It'll give you tremendous insights on things that you can do to speed up your website. And if you have any questions, you can let me know on how to execute on those different items and recommendations. Next, distractions. So I've had clients that just want to throw everything up at the wall, throw it all over. It's like you go to the website and I could literally have a seizure looking at their website. I hate to say that. I'm sorry. Apologize in advance. But if you have, you have to make use of white space, positioning of the elements. It has to be usable. There's people get, it sounds weird, but they literally get anxious when they're on websites that have too much going on, and that leads them to not make a decision. So it's that whole paradox of having too many choices, and therefore no choice is made. And it's the same thing with websites. So be careful with how your website is designed from that sense. And if you bring on a designer, they should have some sense of have some experience with usability, ideally, so that you don't run into this issue and they can guide you on that sort of issue. Next is USP, unique selling proposition. You need to have a unique selling proposition on your website. Why should someone buy from you and not the next guy? And if your answer is, we have good customer service, guys, come on. Don't just repeat the same thing that everybody has repeated since the inception of the internet. You need to have something that makes you feel trustworthy, credible. Why is your product different? Why is your service different? What's the differentiating factor? And that needs to be clearly explained on the website in a way that is scannable and easy to read, not buried in a 1,000-word paragraph. All right. So for more on that, send me a message. I'll give you some guidance on that. CTA, calls to action. You need to have a call to action on your website, whether it's call us for a free consultation, get a free quote, get a free estimate, download the guide, whatever the case is, or add to cart if you're e-commerce. But the calls to action need to be clear. They need to be there. And if you're just doing like contact us, or you have a form and it says submit, don't use the word submit on your form. That's not a call to action. All right. So calls to action are very important, and I've tested many calls to action, not only the wording. There's been studies, as ridiculous as it sounds, on the color. If you've ever heard of the infamous big orange button, there's a certain orange color that typically converts better than anything else, and I've seen that to be true, in fact, in actual applications. So this is all things to look at. Finally, is just your usability as a whole. Make decisions off of data, whether it's you or your design or marketing team. Look at Google Analytics. Think about utilizing a tool like a heat mapping tool. Think about utilizing a few user studies. You could actually pay a few people to go to your website and give real, honest unbiased feedback. So you can, sometimes when you're in the midst of it, you're thinking, you're not thinking in an objective way, the way that a consumer will think. So that empirical data to help drive your decisions on how to optimize the website is invaluable. So think about utilizing those sorts of technologies to really accelerate your optimization plan. And that's it, guys. It's the 10 tips I come up with today. I'm really throwing everything at you here today because I want you to be successful. Please try to implement some of these and then send me a message and let me know how you're doing, because I guarantee you if you implement everything I just mentioned, you will see a lot of success in the coming quarter. So again, yeah, like, subscribe, send me a message, and I will see you on the next video.